because he's giving out free picks each and every week. Hope you have a good rest of your day.
Back with a UFC Fight Night card. UFC Vegas 75 Cannonier versus Vettori. Decent card, couple decent fights, but again, we're just Fight Night, right? So can't expect too much. We're breaking down the main card like usual, providing free picks, leans, what to avoid, and pricing talk. SystemSportsCapping.com to become a client today. Client card will be out Friday after weigh-ins like usual. System capping on all social media platforms, guys. Free play videos weekly on TikTok and Instagram. We're 11-3 on those short form videos. That's 79%. Won't find that in the market. And those, it's just a nice gesture, giving out some more free plays. I don't just do these videos for you guys once a week. Start doing some, quick, short form, 30 seconds to a minute free play videos as well. So give me a follow over there on Instagram and Twitter. Let's do a UFC 289 recap. A quick one. Profitable card for myself and clients and free play video viewers. Again, just one wrong on the card, in the main card here, and it was Dariush, right? I like Dariush. I didn't have a big play on him. It was a smaller unit play. Looked good early, right? I did think he was going to be able to get the fight down to the ground. He wasn't going to be scared to get the fight down to the ground, but then he got caught on the feet, right? And, hats off to Charles Oliveira. Very dangerous guy to fight, right? Very aggressive. He's willing to stand and bang. He'll go to the ground. He'll try to pull submissions off his back. But Dariush was handling the pressure and everything well early. I did think he was going to get the fight down to the ground. He was able to do that. He just got caught on the feet. So only loss there. Everything else was right for us. We did have a profitable card. I was on, obviously, Amanda Nunes to get the job done. We parlayed that with Mike Malott. What a performance from Mike Malott. Malott, obviously, Canadians went 6-0, so hats off to them. Great job there. We were on two Canadians, personally. 2-0 there. Malott, by finish was the play as well. And, this guy could be the face of Canadian MMA. I just think I have, obviously, the tools, right? Very well-rounded fighter, guys. Great everywhere. Does have the face, does have the personality to maybe carry Canadian MMA. And, the Canadian MMA has been probably as deep as ever, right? They don't have the best guys. Like when the obviously George St. Pierre era, Rory McDonald, those were higher level guys than I think any of these guys here. But there's a deeper roster these days from Canadian MMA. So that definitely exciting to see for them. Great card. Overall, there's some good fights, right? That turned out to be a pretty good card. Obviously, the main event, one-sided Nunes. Got to give her flowers for retiring. I'm going to miss breaking down her fights, cashing on her, right? We always backed her throughout all her fights somehow. Obviously, sometimes you couldn't back her due to pricing, but we always backed her in some way, either putting into 2-fight parlay, getting a finish, betting outcomes, rounds. Tons of money we've won on Amanda over the years. So definitely going to miss her from that standpoint of breaking down her fights. But, I think she deserves it. I don't think there's really any challenges for her, right? And I do think it was a perfect time for her to retire. So hats off to Amanda there. We'll see what happens in that division. A little quick segment here on Aldana. It just didn't look like she came out to fight. Like, you ever hear the expression deers in the headlights? That's what happened here. She just saw, it's Amanda Nunes. Oh no, that's what it looked like. Didn't pull the trigger, wasn't able to use her reach or distance or use her boxing skills at all. Amanda just took it away from. Obviously, a lot of it's due to Amanda and her game plan, but I do think Aldana stepped up to the big plate, stepped up to the big fight, and froze. So interesting to see how she'll bounce back there. Weekly update. Let's do a weekly update here. 66% UFC win percentage for the year, guys. Very happy with that. Over 61 units long term. 65% best bets. That's very long term. That's over 6 years, guys. We don't have too many best bets throughout the year. NBA and NHL, both the seasons are over, guys. Always fun to handicapping. Had them throughout the year. Another profitable year in both sports. We had 3-0 last week in the sport. In both sports, we what do we hit here? Denver money line, Denver minus 2.5 when they returned to Miami in that first game. And then what was the other? And then the NHL game, we backed Florida in their only win. And they got the win there. Better NHL season in the regular season. The playoffs was about 500. So it did take down my overall record. It was around 65% in the regular season. Bumped down a little bit, 63% all bets this year in the NHL. Happy with that. Very happy with that. Anything above 60%, I'm happy with. 65% regular season. Very happy with that. Last two seasons combined, including the playoffs, 64% in the NHL. Very happy with that. Just under 30 units in profit, guys. NBA, profitable season, not the best season. We had a better NBA season last year. We had a lower volume NBA season this year. Focus a little more on the NHL. However, 62% the last 2 years combined. 64% last year, right? That was a better year last year for us. Shout out to Denver and Vegas. I wasn't on either side to win in the future market. I don't think a ton of guys were, but hats off to them, well deserved. PGA, what a tournament, right? What a story last year in Canada, last week here in Canada. Nick Taylor was 501 on Saturday to win this event. He gets it done in Canada. You know, they didn't have a winner in Canada, things like that, in the 50s. So very excited to there. I probably would have picked 3-4 other Canadians before Nick Taylor. He got the job done. Just missed out on profit last week. We did have a free play winner though on Rose, plus 116 over Cameron Young. Wrong guy was favored there. Cameron Young's playing terrible golf right now. Rose destroyed him there in the matchup. It was like minus 13 for Rose. I think Cameron Young finished like at even or -1. So caught the books there slacking. Outright market, we had Hatton. He finished third. We were close there, guys. He went into the clubhouse leading the tournament, but that obviously Taylor put it on. NFL reminder, guys. NFL only a few months away. Only a few months away. Future market is being investigated and handicapped currently. I won't put it out until August. But we're currently looking at lines and monitoring them. Like this video, guys. It helps me out a ton. Comment, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. It's going to help me in this algorithm. Vittori, minus 115 versus Cannonier. Minus 105 plus 100. Shop around. You can get different lines out there. Like I always say, have multiple books so you can get the best price and the best prop out there. Main event. Let's talk about the main event here. Books are right on here. I get it. Even money, I would probably put it at minus 110, minus 110. I think it did open up around that. I expect this to be a close fight, guys. Right? Goes all 5 rounds, most likely. Possibly a late finish. I can't hate the main event from a fan standpoint. I think it's a very competitive fight. I think it should be a very close fight, back and forth on the feet for the most part. Both guys are very well-rounded and durable, right? Vittori still never has been finished in the cage, right? You hear Cannonier talk about it this week in his interviews. I want to be the first guy to finish Vittori. I don't know. He does have the power. He does have that one-shot style power to do it. We just haven't seen Vittori get finished, so we just can't look at that prop outcome on Cannonier if we do like him to finish the fight. It's just very difficult because we haven't seen it before with our own eyes, right? Cannonier, since his resurgent, also never been knocked out for 5 years now, 6 years. 2018 was the last time against Dominic Reyes. So that's something also to keep in mind. Obviously, Cannonier has rebuilt himself as a better fighter in his later years, which is always nice to see. With Vittori also, he doesn't have that one-shot power, right? He's a volume guy and a very well-rounded guy. Not great at everything, but good at everything. That's why he's a tough guy to fight. And that's why a lot of his fights do end up becoming a decision, do end up becoming, close fights, mainly because Vittori is just very well-rounded everywhere. You can never really dominate him anywhere. You can never really take advantage of anything, really. It's just going to be a close fight in all of his fights. We've seen last time out versus Dolitz, right? Some people thought he lost the fight. I thought he lost round 1, and I thought he sneaked out round 2 and 3. I think Dolitz kind of, took his foot off the gas later in that fight, and Vittori put it on him a little bit to win that fight. But that was very close. If we see that Vettori in this fight, I think Cannonier wins this fight. I think there's some value here at plus 100. I see it staying on the feet for the most part. You know, both guys I think cancel out in the wrestling department. If it does get to the ground, I see, you know, the guy getting up fairly quickly. I don't see any control time here on the ground. I think it's just going to be a close fight on the feet. And who's going to land the bigger shots? I think Cannonier lands the bigger shots, but Vettori could win in the volume category, right? That's the thing. That's why I have this a very close fight. Most likely, like I said, my favorite play is probably the fight go the distance, right? Let's look at some of these numbers here. Cannonier last 5 fights, 4 of them went to decision. And Vettori, 6 fights in a row went to decision, guys. 4 of them 5-round fights. It's just their style, right? They don't come in, look for that quick knockout. They don't have really the power to end the fight quickly. And both guys are durable. So you have to look that way here. My favorite play is the fight probably go the distance here. It's tough on a side. Very tough to call here. It's a flip of a coin in my opinion. I'll lean Cannonier just due to the price. You can get plus money. When I have the fight about even and I see plus money, I'll take the guy plus money. Is it going to make my betting card? Probably not. But my favorite play is probably the fight to go the distance and over in rounds. I think you can get over in rounds, 3.5, 4.5. Take the over there. If there's a finish here, I think it's some sort of stoppage due to doctor stoppage or a cut. Something along those lines. Co-main, it's an interesting one. It's a head scratcher. It's a matchup scratcher. I don't really understand the matchmaking in this one. Arman Tsarukyan minus 1,100. That's 1,100 versus Silva plus 700. You don't see too many co-main events this large, right, in gap. Tsarukyan, you know, he's fighting very high-level guys, and he's taking a big step down here. Interesting one here, to say the least. I don't really understand it. The one thing I can point out is, you know, a lot of guys don't want to fight Arman. There's not a lot of benefits in fighting the guy, right? He's not a huge name yet, but he's a guy that can probably beat anyone in the division on his best night. So, you know, Silva will fight anybody. Silva has lost 3 of his last 5 fights against lower level guys. He'll come into this fight probably just trying to look for a knockout early. I think that's his path. I think that's how he likes to fight. He likes to look for a quick knockout. Arman's obviously going to have a wrestling and grappling advantage here. Can Silva catch him? Probably not, right? That's why you're getting the plus 700. It is MMA at the end of the day, so it could happen. But, you know, I think Arman just dominates this fight. Obviously, you can't bet this fight at this price. It's going to be very difficult to bet this fight at this price. If you look at an outcome, there is some outcome value here by submission at plus 300. I think Silva does have a decent ground game, though. You can get a plus 310 on FanDuel, I see right now. So I think there's some small unit value there, right? He could hurt him and then trying to jump on his back and choke him out. But, you know, by finish at some point in this fight, it's minus 350. Right, either by TKO, KO, or submission. That's probably the best bet here. It's just the price. You don't lay that outcome price and that high amount of minus 350. So, you know, I can take a small chance at plus 310. Problem is, Silva's never been submitted. He's been knocked out multiple times in his career. Obviously, Arman has 5 subs to go there. So if you want to take a small shot at the plus 310, go for it. Smaller unit. I do think he finds a finish at some point. But yeah, Arman's going to be the play here for video purposes. Can't bet it at this price at minus 1,100, minus 1,100. But he should get the fight. He should get the job done some way in this fight. Duncan, minus 150 versus Petrosian, plus 126. You know, some hype around the Englishman on Duncan after his debut. Still early in his career, right? 8-0. 8-0. So it's hard for me to handicap limited fights, even though there is some hype around the guy. He is going to get his toughest test yet on the feet, right? He looked great versus Todorovic, getting a first-round finish. 3 finishes in a row for Duncan. He's mainly a striker. He does bring a lot of movement, good, looks like striking IQ from him. And I do think he's going to be faster in there against Petrosian. But the good thing about Petrosian, what he likes to do is just stand and bang, and that's going to play into his cards here. So there is some value here at plus 126. Duncan's fighting his toughest competition yet. Prospect watch for sure for another prospect for England. They continue to, bring out guys. And it's mainly strikers, right? And Petrosian, that's what he likes to do. He likes to bring the fight. He likes to bring the pace, and he'll bang with Duncan. So there is some value there, plus 125. Petrosian struggles when he has to fight grapplers and wrestlers. He can't grapple, he can't wrestle. So Duncan, if he's going to stand and bang, obviously he can get caught, but we've seen Petrosian get caught before on the feet. He's been able to take some big shots. So I think this fight could be close. I think there's some value of Petrosian, but there is a lot of hype around Duncan. I like what I see from him. He's going to be the quicker and faster striker on the feet. I'm not going to bet this fight from a client standpoint due to the, I guess, small unknowns from Duncan fighting up in competition, right? 8-0 only 8 fights. Both guys only have, not too many, just under 20 fights combined. So there are some unknowns still. The one thing I can say, though, Petrosian wants to fight on the feet. And I'm pretty sure he's going to get that here. We don't see any takedowns from Duncan from watching his tape. He likes to stand and bang. Petrosian likes to stand and bang. So what I think it should be a fun fight. But when you get two guys that just want to stand and bang, throw down, throw heavy shots, you're kind of flipping a coin here. So that's why I say there's value with Petrosian plus 126. Duncan, like I said, is going to be his toughest guy he fights yet. So, do the math there. Value on Petrosian plus 126. Won't make my betting card. Excited to see how it goes. Excited to see if Duncan is the real deal. This would be a nice win for him to start early in his career. Sabatini minus 190 versus Almeida plus 160. Again, I smell some value here on Almeida if he can keep the fight standing, of course, right? If Almeida can keep this fight standing, he has a good chance to hurt Sabatini. We've seen Sabatini get hurt last time out against Jackson, and Jackson was able to get a quick finish. Sabatini, though, great grappler. Very high-level submission artist, right? 10 submissions. He's going to want to get the fight down to the ground. He can wrestle. He can get the fight down to the ground. He's going to want to get that there. Almeida's going to try to keep the fight on the feet and hurt him early in this fight. That's going to be his path to win this fight. And then, you're banking on Almeida getting a finish. You can get some Almeida value there, probably at plus 170 around the market. Sabatini at minus 190, I just can't get to. There's some minus 200s out there. It's going north of 200 around the market now. That's a very difficult price for me to bet, right? There is some submission, get submission value out there, right? Plus money on the submission. I would look that way if I were to bet Sabatini. I couldn't bet the price in the minus 200 range. There's no value there. Like I mentioned, Sabatini gets his fight down to the ground. There's submissions is going to be live there at plus money. So that would be the only way I would look if I were backing Sabatini in this fight, is by submission. Can't bet the price here. Almeida's live. He's live as a dog. Does have some power. Look good against Trezano. Trezano's a tough guy to fight. I don't think Trezano fought smart in that fight. But the path will be for Sabatini to take down Almeida. And when it's a grappler versus striker, if the grappler can get the fight down to the ground, it's usually trouble for the striker. I can see that happening. Or Sabatini's decent on the feet, don't get me wrong. He's decently well-rounded type of fighter, but it's just the grappling is going to be the advantage here, so he's going to look to get the fight there. Should get it done. At this price, I'm not willing to find out. Look at the submission play if you're going to bet him. Torres minus 180 versus Moto plus 155. Mexico versus Brazil, always fun, right? Torres has a lot of hype around him. And another prospect coming out of Mexico. They continue to bring out these prospects out from Mexico. Back-to-back first-round finishes, one in the Dana White Contender Series and the other in his debut versus Frank Camacho. Lower-level guy, of course. But, Torres is a very aggressive striker. I love the volume from him. The volume's wild, guys. I haven't seen a number like this. Only a few fights, keep that in mind. But 10 per minute, guys. I think Moto could be, in for a long night if he's going to continue to bring that type of volume, right? Both these guys find first-round finishes. Moto coming off a first-round finish over Van Camp, a very low-level guy. But he gets finished as well, Moto, right? He has 3 finishes. He's been finished 3 times. Most recently against Jim Miller just 2 fights ago. So this is a fight I can see definitely not going the distance. I can see this fight having a finish at some point. Both guys like to be aggressive. Both guys like to throw hard and find a finish. So, I can see Torres getting a finish here. And you get that at plus money. Or even Torres at minus 180 is decent for a 2-fight parlay piece. I do think he's going to be the more active guy here. Mota has very low volume at round 3. Like I mentioned, that 10 per minute, if somehow it does get to the judges, I do think Torres did more in the fight. So, yeah, look at Torres here. It's probably one of my more favorable plays here on the main card. Torres minus 180, decent price, like I mentioned, for a big prospect coming out of Mexico. But to improve it, maybe you want to look at the knockout fight, not to go to the distance. Could be a look as well. Fun one to open up the main card. Dalby plus 160 versus Salikov minus 190. I think there's a very decent fight. Could be very even as well. Line seems a bit off. No love for Dalby at all here. Back-to-back wins from Dalby. Scrappy guy, fairly well-rounded. I do think the right guy's favorite though in Salikov. I'd have more maybe minus 150. So some value on Dalby here. Even though I do think Salikov gets it done, I do think he does have a slight wrestling advantage if he wants to bring it there. What Dalby likes to do is kind of hold you against the cage and kind of take advantage there, but I don't think he's going to be able to do that against Salikov. Salikov, powerful guy, does have that one shot power that's going to hurt you, and I think Dalby's going to kind of be aware of that, not going to be able to bring a pace or a volume because of that with his striking. So because Salikov does have some interesting striking, right? He can be dynamic with some of his striking as well, but he likes to kind of hold you as well and try to get the fight down to the ground at times, right? Just over one per fight. So I do think he's going to maybe try to take advantage there and try to get Dalby down. Dalby's wrestling's not great. It's not terrible, but not great. So I do think Salikov kind of just edges him everywhere just by a little bit, right? So Salikov minus 190 isn't great. Tough to call an outcome. Tough to call an outcome here. I would lean maybe a later finish, but I can see this going to the judges' scorecards. Salikov, getting a win on the judges' scorecards. But yeah, Salikov will be the play for video purposes. Dalby's never out of a fight though. Very well rounded, like I mentioned. And fairly durable as of late with some nice finishes under his belt. That will do it, guys. That will do a client card out after weigh-ins on Friday. We'll have at least 3 or 4 plays that I've been eyeing so far. Just got to see how the weigh-ins go. Like I always say, guys, bet smart and know your limits. See you next week.